So after the copious amounts of controversy that surrounded this film, we finally got our first look at the live-action Snow White remake. And let's just say Rachel Zegler and Peter Dinklage did this piss-poor attempt at a cash grab absolutely no favors. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
As one media outlet put it in the headline of its article, the trailer for Disney's live-action Snow White remake has some people very grumpy. Even some people that you might not expect. From the moment that this movie was announced, it has been a point of contention amongst people who engage in online film discussion. Or what I like to call, you either agree with me or you're a piece of shit discourse.
Why can't we all just get along?
It all started with the casting of Rachel Zegler in the role of Snow White. A miscast if I've ever seen one. But to be fair, we've seen bad casting decisions in the past eventually work out. There's been instances where the actor or actress surprises a lot of people with their performance and shuts all the online trolls up. But with Rachel Zegler as Snow White, we never even got to that point. Because before people could even have a chance to warm up to her in that role, she started doing interviews and frankly, saying a lot of dumb Weird. Talking about how this timelessly classic story is now outdated in her eyes, and how the creative team on this remake was going to modernize that story and even improve it. She even mentioned on more than one occasion how her version of Snow White will not be daydreaming about silly things like true love or a prince coming to rescue her. Disrespecting the source material isn't exactly a great way to ingratiate yourself with an already disgruntled fan base. It actually makes you look even more arrogant and tone-deaf than the company you are working for. But the controversy didn't stop there, because in a 2022 interview, actor Peter Dinklage criticized Disney over its plan to release a live-action remake. And he wasn't complaining because the remake is lazy and unnecessary like the rest of us. No, Peter took issue with how the film could potentially reinforce dwarfism stereotypes, once again insinuating that the source material is outdated. This apparently resulted in Disney consulting with members of the dwarfism community, and they decided to take a different approach when it came to the 7 titular characters. And this is how we ended up with actors in the dwarfism community being out of a job. And it's also why we get the 7 CGI abominations that we've seen in the teaser trailer. Great job, Peter.
That's what I do. I drink and I know things.
It's another brilliant example of you not being able to please everyone, coming from the company who desperately tries to please everyone. So after all of this, we eventually got to D23 and the trailer reveal for this movie that feels like it should have came out years ago. And the response to this trailer is pretty much exactly what you would expect. Many people are also bringing up how they got Gal Gadot to play the evil queen, a character who is supposed to be jealous of Snow White's looks. It's pretty safe to say that if you've ever seen Gal Gadot, her being jealous of anyone's looks is pretty far-fetched. I do realize that being the fairest doesn't necessarily 100% refer to a person's looks. And knowing Disney like I do, the iconic line will most likely be more about Snow White's personality than her looks in the remake.
My teacher tells me real beauty's on the inside.
That's just something ugly people say.
I've noticed something else going on in the past couple of days on social media that very much feels like an orchestrated retaliation, a way to stick it to the trolls who do not like Rachel Zegler in this role. And it involves certain social media accounts attacking Gal Gadot because of her Jewish and Israeli heritage. What's crazy to me is that these same accounts will be the first ones to tell people who criticize Rachel Zegler that they are bigots with no real evidence to back that claim up. To be clear, one side of this argument is attacking an actress because of where she was born, and 90% of the other side of this argument is criticizing an actress for being disrespectful to the story she is a part of adapting. And this is once again an unfortunate example of people not being able to separate fiction and reality.
What is real? How do you define real?
What I find interesting about all of this is that you have people threatening not to see this movie because of Gal Gadot. You also have another group of people threatening not to see this movie because of Rachel Zegler. And then you have general audiences who most likely do not know about or give a shit about the online drama around this movie. A majority of who probably won't care to see this movie anyway because they are tired of having Disney insult their intelligence.
If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
And all of that does not set this film up for success when it is eventually released. The truth is, this movie has been a disaster ever since an executive at Disney made the decision to move forward with it. If we take into consideration how Disney's previous live-action remakes proved to be nothing more than soulless cash grabs that damaged the legacy of their once-beloved animated classics, and the fact that this film and its actors and actresses have experienced nothing but self-induced setbacks since as far back as I can remember, I have to ask the question, could this finally be the movie that breaks the unnecessary live-action remake trend for good, and finally forces Disney to leave well enough alone? Here's hoping, but if Disney has proven anything in recent years, it's that they are not afraid to double down on their bad decisions. So it's entirely possible that we will be getting more of these modernizing of classic stories in the future.
Y'all be cool. Nah.